يا رمضان سلام مرحب شعب المسلمين مرحب منتظرين صغار وكبار يا رمضان سلام مرحب.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for all coming and joining us today. We're here to celebrate Ramadan, and we're also here to congratulate Muhammad Hashi, who has recently been elected as the Labour Councillor for the Stockwell area. We'll first start with Muhammad, who will be reciting some Quran for us. Thank you.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنه هو أغنى وأغنى وأنه هو رب الشعرى وأنه أهلك عادا الأولى وثمود فأبقى وقوم نوح من قبل إنه كانوا أظلم وأطغى والمؤتفكة أهوى فغشاها ما غشى فبأي آلاء ربك تتمارى هذا نذير من النذر الأولى أزفت الآسفة ليس لها من دون الله كاشفة أفمن هذا الحديث تعجبون وتضحكون ولا تبكون وأنتم سامدون فاسجدوا لله واعبدوا.
Next up is Afur from Al Bayan Institute, who's going to share a few words with us.
So my reminder, which I'd like to remind myself and everyone with, is about the outcome of Ramadan. What is the purpose of your Ramadan? SubhanAllah, tonight marks the 15th night of Ramadan. 15th night of Ramadan. When before Ramadan entered, we were crying or begging Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allahumma ballighna Ramadan. Oh Allah, please allow us to reach the blessed month of Ramadan. We are in it, and now the guest is already about to leave. 15th night is tonight. It marks the middle. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he says, Al-a'mal bil-khawatim. Your actions are all about its endings. How you end things is very, very important. So how would you like to see Ramadan leave you? In what state would you like Ramadan to leave? The purpose of fasting in the blessed month of Ramadan, as we know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam kama kutiba ala alladhina min qablikum la'allakum tattaqun. That fasting has been prescribed upon you as it was prescribed those that were before you, so that you may gain piety, taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is true piety? Is piety in just the jilbab and the niqab, or is it just in our beards? Is it in the words that we say, or is it more than that? Fasting is, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, as-sawmu junnah. You know, fasting is a shield. It should protect you. It should protect you from the hellfire. It should protect you from the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what type of fasting? A fasting that does not only consist of leaving, eating and drinking and other things, but also being mindful of what you say, how you say it, the way you walk, the way you interact with others, restraining and holding back from other things. So what would you like to gain this Ramadan? You may never live to see another Ramadan. And I don't say that lightly, subhanAllah. Honestly, we don't know if we will ever live to see another Ramadan. As you know, recently, a brother we all know, which we follow on social media, known as Ali Bannat, who passed away. He had cancer. SubhanAllah, 3 years ago, he was diagnosed with having cancer, and the doctor said that you'll only live to see 7 months. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed that he lives to see 3 years. And you see how he worked, and it changed his life. He said, in fact, the cancer, he saw it as a gift. SubhanAllah, look at us, we're able, we're healthy, we're able to come here, and out of choice, fast. Out of choice, break our fast. There are people in situations around the world, they don't have an opportunity to break their fast with their loved ones. They don't have their family around them. They don't have even the ability to go and seek iftar. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with many blessings. I would like to give that reminder for us to reflect over, what is this Ramadan? What does it mean to you? What goals do you have in mind? Ramadan is a month of Quran. How is your relationship with the Quran? Have you read any Quran? Have you set a target for yourself to read maybe a juz or half of the Quran? Or maybe from cover to cover, from Surah to Fatiha to all the way to Surah An-Nas. Remember, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came not only just to teach us about the oneness of Allah, but also to change our character, to be mindful of the way we are with our family, our spouse, our children, our parents. And these are things which I think the month of Ramadan, it helps us reflect over. There are many things that we lose in Ramadan. And the biggest thing that we can clearly lose and we see is our weight. But there are other areas that we can lose. Bad character, the way you deal with others. Maybe you have a bad habit of listening to music. Maybe you need to cut down on the music or stop the music. Maybe you have a bad habit of not praying on time. So maybe you make the effort in praying on time. Maybe you don't ever pick up the book of Allah, and you pick up so many other books. And you know, the most popular book that everyone picks up is Facebook, right? Everyone has a Facebook account or Instagram or whatever it may be of social media. Maybe this month of Ramadan, I want to put away the social media and whatever is distracting me, because what destroys many of us, and the reason why many of us will regret on the day of judgment, is because of distractions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions, Alhaakum takathur. What has taken you away and busied your minds is this takathur. And takathur is this mutual rivalry I have with someone else. Imagine the whole world was blind. Who do you have to impress? If the whole world was blind, who do you have to impress? SubhanAllah, there's no sense of rivalry. If the whole world, no one could see you, you don't have no one to impress. You're not going to chase behind people's wants and desires, or how would he or she view me, right? You'll only look to the watchful eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was about. He only cared about how Allah saw him. So he pursued the love of Allah constantly. But we live in a time where we will always want to please others. This Ramadan, make it a special relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah knows your true state. Allah knows what your heart is busy with. Is it busy with things that divert you away from the remembrance of Allah? Or is it busy and engaged in what is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Yawm al-Qiyamah, as you know, all of us, we will see our kitab. Everything that we've done. Anything minor or major. Today, coming here, what's the date today? 30th of May. SubhanAllah, 30th of May, 2018, that we came here is written in our kitab. And Yawm al-Qiyamah will be able to look at it, whether it's for us or against us. The foul language, the disrespectfulness towards our parents, the cheating, the lying, the slandering, the gossiping. Whatever we did, we will see it in our kitab, Yawm al-Qiyamah. So it's very important that we fill this kitab, which is greater than Facebook. Because you know, Facebook, you can edit this, social media, you can put only what you want people to see. Yawm al-Qiyamah, you cannot put in your kitab, which is witnessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which you will be standing in front of Allah. And the most greatest shame, the ulama say, is that Allah records for you the sins that you commit. You can imagine if a loved one sees you, your parents, they see you and they say, you know, why did you do this? You feel shameful, sah? You feel a bit, aib, subhanallah. My friend knows about it, it's my mom and dad, they know what I'm doing. But imagine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Khaliq, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, He tells you, you did this sin. It's the greatest shame that we could ever feel. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal that He fills our book with good deeds. Allahumma ameen. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which I want us to reflect over, He gives us a glimpse into the future. He gives us a glimpse into the future. And this is why, brothers and sisters, Quran, we have to really hold it dear to our hearts. The Quran is my companion, my dearest friend. Why? It's the words of my beloved. You know, like if you're in love with someone, or you love your parents, or whoever you may love, you love their speech and you constantly read their speech. You look over it over and over again. That when they speak, you stop, you listen, you're attentive, you're focused. This is why the ulama, they say, whenever you hear Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, as a believer, you should be very consistent in paying attention and listening and being attentive when the verse of Allah Azza wa Jal is revealed. So how we are with the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, He gives a situation that رُبَّمَا يَوَدُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لَوْ كَانُوا مُسْلِمِينَ. A day will come that the one who disbelieved in Allah, rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would wish that he was a believer.
Next up we have Muhammad Hashi, recently elected Labour Council. Let's share a few words as well.
Okay, Abshir, Jazakallah khair for that talk. It's made me change my talk, mashallah. I just wanted to go back again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
10 years ago, mashallah. 10 years ago, last month, I was the victim of a shooting. And I don't know how many of you guys have heard this story, so I don't want to go over it again. But it seems like everywhere that I talk about getting shot. Like, that's the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me. It is a little bit, but that's not the point. So I remember that day clearly. So, mashallah, my mum who's here, and got one of my friends to bring a stripper, and typically we didn't know how to use it, and we started stripping the wall. But apparently you had to wet the wall before you stripped it. So we was trying to strip a dry wall, and it was really difficult. And then I said to my mum, I'm going to do it when we come back, because we're going to go football, right? And the next time my mum saw me, I was lying in the hospital bed in intensive care, literally dying. Now, the reason why I remember that day so vividly is because I didn't expect to be dying. You know, no one expects to be dying, right? I didn't expect to be shot. I didn't expect to be on life support. These are things I didn't expect. I didn't expect to do all you worry about those times, and I'll be honest, alhamdulillah, Allah at that time gave me a very good job out of nowhere. I was getting great money every month. I'd done a job that I was loving. I had my own office, I had my own phone line, I had a very easy job working with young people. And I feel like at that point, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He blessed me with a reminder of my mortality. Now, when I got shot, I remember seeing the person come out from the alleyway, and I saw him lift up the gun. But it was away from me. So he pointed in this direction and I was over there. And in my head, firstly, I'm thinking, fantastic, I'm safe. Secondly, I'm thinking, swear, there's a gun. As the boy's arm went back, my arm dropped. And I didn't understand that. You know, I literally, everything else got blocked out. I'm looking at my arm thinking, excuse me? What's going on? Literally, I lifted my arm and it dropped back down. And I lifted up my right arm, and I say this a lot, so please bear with me if you've heard this before. Can I get everyone just to lift up their arm? And close your fist. I know it looks like black power, but that's not what we're doing right now. Just open it again and close it. Right? Now I want you to ask yourself the question, what did you do to close your hand? Like, what did you actually do? I don't want you to get scientific and say signals going from my brain went to the muscles. I don't want all of that. Think about it. Because at that moment, I couldn't figure out how to use this arm that I've been using for the last 23 years. And it's at that moment, the moment of clarity, that I realized I had not appreciated the gift Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given me of having two arms that worked. At that moment, I didn't realize. Because we wake up in the morning, we've already taken for granted that we're going to wake up in the morning. And we go to school, we go to college, we go to university, we go to work, and we never, even once, think about how many things had to go right for us to be in those positions. Remember, we look at success as getting A's and A stars and good jobs and money and big cars. That's what success looks like to us in the media. We're not thinking about success being waking up in the morning. I got a young boy who was 16. He woke up in the morning and half his face was not working. His whole face was drooping. So he could only use one half of his face. He just woke up like that. It took him 6 months to get it back. Some people never get it back. The same thing happened to my chemist. I went to pick up some prescriptions and half his face was not working. And you know, sometimes you're a bit shy, you say, I'm not going to ask no questions. I said, bro, what happened to your... You know, I just forgot myself a little bit. And he said he woke up like that. And for me, Jazakallah khair, Afshir, this is the reminder, because no one ever expects anything bad to happen, but we always expect the good things to happen. We don't realize it's a blessing that we're all here together today. I used to work closely with a lady called Tessa Jawel. She was an MP, and she helped us a lot with my business in South London. And she died the other day, but she was diagnosed with brain tumor last year, May. She texted me on the Monday before she died, saying, it's really good, good to hear from you, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. You must come to the House of Lords for some tea. I thought that was quite cool. She died before we went to the House of Lords. And my thing is just a reminder, again, we're Muslim, alhamdulillah, we've been blessed with something that's sure, something that's complete. And sometimes we forget about it. And as my brother Abshir said, it's important that we take these opportunities to start putting things on the scales for the positives. Every day we do sins. Every day we do things that we're not going to be proud of if it was highlighted to us. Whether it's open the window of the car and throwing some rubbish out of. If it's seeing a homeless person sitting down and avoiding eye contact. Simple things that we do like this, when we could have giving him a smile. Very simple things, and we always miss out on doing these things. So it's important that we get the rewards every time we can. Again, sometimes it's easy to forget that we are not the authors of our own destiny. What we are living in is written already. We are supposed to be worried. There are passages in this deen that tell us about people going to sleep as a Muslim and waking up a kafir. And people waking up in the morning a Muslim and going to sleep a kafir. And we should be asking ourselves, what is happening in these passages? What is being described? This is the last one. After this is going to get a bit more positive, inshallah. So 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with diabetes. I've got a really sweet tooth, so it caught up with me eventually. And that means I can't fast. I'm not allowed to. During the fasting, my blood sugar will go really low, and when I break my fast, it will shoot up, and that's very dangerous. So this is the second year I've been unable to fast. I've been fasting since I was a child. Mashallah, this deen is intertwined with our culture. And it's only now that I am missing the blessing of the fasting. Only now. Where, you know, it'll be hot days and long days and all of these things are of no consequence. Wallahi, only Allah knows how much sadness it brings to me that I cannot fast. A simple thing as abstaining from food. I'm not allowed to do it. And you guys, subhanAllah, you don't know the blessing in that. You don't know how much rewards that you're getting and how much lessons you're getting. I was just speaking to my brother here about him playing football while he's fasting. He said you get extra fit. I'm thinking, boy, I don't know if I'll ever get that opportunity. Inshallah I do. But I'm not allowed again through the deen to put myself in danger. So for me, it's very important that we remember these things, inshallah. There are blessings in everything that we do and everything that we experience. It is, again, down to us to find those blessings. Sometimes the hardship, all the time, the hardship overshadows the blessings. Because we are innately selfish. But remember, how many, and I don't want no one to answer, but how many people woke up this morning and made the dua and thanked Allah for bringing us out of this? How many people saw their mum this morning and said, Alhamdulillah that I've seen her this morning, that she's alive? How many? Because we're taking everything for granted. So for me, Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for the setup of this, but for me there are things that are important in life. And there's even things that are even more important in akhirah. And Alhamdulillah, I'm a counsellor now, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In my whole life, I've voted 3 times. In my whole life.
Next we've got Lul and Deqa, who are the founders of the Ahmad Studio.
First of all, thank you so much. Oh, it's on now. Thank you so much for inviting us here today to come and speak about Ahmad Sourced, which is something that is quite close to me and Lul's hearts. Just to give you a bit of a background as to what Ahmad Sourced is, if you guys haven't heard us or seen us on social media yet, it's basically a health and wellness platform that we've started where we're giving healthcare professionals and other professionals from other industries the chance to give their bit back to Somalia and to the Somalis here in the UK as well. To give you a bit of context, Ahmad Sourced is something that's come from both of our backgrounds. Alhamdulillah, it's an idea, you know, first of all, it comes from Ilahi subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's something that came to both of us because of the industries that we work in. My name is Deqa and I'm a biomedical scientist. I probably should have started with that. I work at UCL, which is a big hospital in London, in Euston, and I work in clinical research, so I work in cancer trials. I think some of the brothers have already spoken about cancer and they've mentioned it, and it's something that does affect the Somali community, so I'm very proud to be representing us in that field. I think there's a lot of focus on cancer at the moment and coming up with new drugs to combat it. So that's something that definitely Ahmad Sourced is wanting to concentrate on. But cancer is another topic entirely. I mean, I could sit here all day and talk to you about it. But it was, the idea Ahmad Sourced came to me while I was actually at work. I see Somali people every single day at UCL. I see them as patients, I see them as colleagues, more so colleagues before I go into morbidity of patients, but I see them as colleagues, I see them as nurses, I see them as radiographers, I see them as porters. You know, we all give each other that nod of recognition. You know, it's nice to see your Somali brother and sister like making ways in healthcare, given the state of our country at the moment and what they have in terms of healthcare. So I was actually with a patient at that time, and I'd booked all these tests for this patient. So I'd sat down, we'd had a really long consultation. I'd spoken to my consultants. You know, as a scientist, I'd made decisions for this patient and what would be best for their care. This patient was an Ajnabi patient, so they're not a Somali patient. And they weren't happy with what I'd done. So they weren't happy with the order of the tests. They weren't happy with when I'd book things, why I'd book things. They felt like it was interrupting the rest of their life. And I think at that moment, it hadn't come to me, but that was the start of Afur outsourced. So I'd gone home, went back to work the next day, and I met one of my really close colleagues, and he works in transplant, so he works in bone marrow. And he'd been talking about this new initiative he'd started rolling out at UCL, where all of the old syringes, all of the old equipment that we're not using, they were going to try and ship that to a couple of African countries. When he said that, you know, I asked some more. I said, you know, what African countries? And he said, you know, Ethiopia, Ghana, Nigeria, Zambia. And I thought to myself, Somalia is not on the list. And to be fair, I wasn't expecting it to be on the list, but I just wanted to know. So I went home and I thought, I'm not fulfilled in the job and in the career that I've decided to do. I've been doing it for years now. And although I've started working in healthcare because I love science, you know, alhamdulillah, I have two parents who, my mom's here today, who really think education is what makes someone valuable to their community. I've always loved science. I went into it to help my people, to help everyone, not just Somali people, but I realized that I wasn't getting to enough Somali people, basically is what I'm trying to say. I was seeing a couple of people here and there, but not enough people. So I thought, it's time that we started an initiative. I see my brothers and sisters every day, you know, we talk in the mosque, some of the girls, and they're radiographers, you know, they're great at their jobs, they're really, really giving back to the community. But we've forgotten the country that we've come from. You know, we are the diaspora, we are the people who've been lucky, alhamdulillah, we've been given the opportunity of a free education. You know, we've been given opportunities here that our brothers and sisters back home would dream of having. So we thought it's about time we created a platform which makes it easy for us professionals to give back. You know, we work full-time jobs in the NHS. We're not expecting anyone or expecting ourselves to drop our lives, because, you know, that does need to continue, but that little bit of charity that we can give, we need to make it possible for people to do that. And that's where Afur Source came from. You know, we thought we need to start a charity-based organization where it's not just money we're looking for the knowledge. You know, we want you to give us your knowledge back, as opposed to money or equipment or, you know, all of those kinds of things. And I think Lulu will touch on how you can get involved. It's a collective, it's something that we can do together. I think Somali people, there's one thing on Nagamaka, which is together we're unstoppable, and I think we need to come together a bit more. So I'm going to hand you over and she's going to let you know how you can get into contact with us.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm Lul, the co-founder of Afur Source. Just a little bit of a background about what I do. I've been in the NHS for about 5 years now as a diagnostic radiographer. No idea what it was when I first started, no idea what I wanted to do, no idea if I wanted to, you know, go into, you know, nursing or anything like that. I never wanted to work in a hospital, but then I just fell into radiography. And 5 years ago, I was in a class of 120 people. I was the only Somali girl that was doing radiography. Now, there's probably about 20 or 30% of every single university that does radiography has Somali people in it. So the force in healthcare for Somali people is strong. There's so many of us, and we need to use that, and we need to come together and decide what we're going to do for that healthcare in Somalia, inshallah. So what you guys, what we want from everybody is support. We'd like you to follow us. We're currently on social media. We are building a website, which is going to be, inshallah, successful as well. So that's it really. They've covered most of it. So yeah, alhamdulillah, we just want to try and give back to our communities back home and here. You know, people here can benefit as well. There's a lot of Somali people here that are suffering in silence with conditions that are so treatable. And Somali Jogan, who, you know, kids dying of malaria, you know, women dying in childbirth in 2018. It's not acceptable in my eyes, and I do hope that everybody else agrees with me that we should be giving back to our communities back home. And that's really what the drive of Afur Source is. It's very close to our hearts. We can talk about it forever. We can sit here and talk about it for hours and hours. But inshallah, if you do want to join us, if you do want to contribute, if you do want to give your ideas, your thoughts, then do come find us. We've got cards that we can give you. We can give you our numbers. We're more than happy to speak to you in person, inshallah. So yeah, and inshallah, let's get together. Let's make a difference, inshallah.
Okay, next is Awale. Sorry.
Very grateful for the invitation. I've been a councillor since 2010, 8 years. So it's wonderful to have this kind of event. Have a varied number of speakers here, and understanding different aspects of the work we do. I'm not only a councillor. I also have a day job. I work for a company called Deloitte as a consultant, so that makes life a bit more interesting. You have a day job, and then you, like Batman, you have a night job. Being a councillor, having to deliver quite important services locally. If you really think about it, every single aspect of what happens to you locally, everything, literally everything, is probably determined by a councillor. Or a councillor has had some say in it. Everything from your housing, to the size of your parking, to your schools, to your health service, to the size of your mosque, even if you can have a mosque. Literally every single aspect of what happens to you locally is probably at some point been decided by a councillor. So you can see the amount of power, the amount of influence, and the amount of knowledge councillors have locally. So it's really, really important that you don't only engage through your civic service, which is just voting, but you actually engage more on the level of influencing, whether it's standing for the council or whether it's literally engaging with your councillors, turning up to meetings, fighting your corner, fighting for the services you really want to fight for. Personally, I think the Somali community in Camden, we're one of the best communities in Camden, in London, probably in the UK. I think we're doing quite well for ourselves. I think in terms of schooling, our attainment's getting much better. In terms of health, we're accessing a lot more. In terms of housing, we're not doing so great, but we could be doing better. Of course, it's very difficult for us as a community to start buying homes in this area because of the house prices. But in terms of getting a lot of families out of overcrowding is something I hold dear to my heart, and it's something I've consistently fought for, and it's something that we've had some success in. But I think we can have some more success in that. I think in terms of crime and antisocial behaviour, we're okay. I think we could be doing better. I think there could be less crime. But compare that to, let's say, 5, maybe 10 years ago, we've improved somewhat. Unfortunately, we've had some stabbings in Camden for the last couple of months. Well, a few months ago, and we lost some boys, and it was really heartbreaking. And I think there are a lot of fundamental factors and some variable issues that go into that we need to look at quite seriously. All the way, unfortunately, we get caught up in the middle of some really horrific practices that are going on globally. In particular, the drug trade that's being funneled out of South America through Albania and into London, and that's where we've been caught up. So of course, as a community, we can do a lot more, but the onus is not only on you. I think we're all responsible for every single child on the street, for every single child that gets caught up in crime and antisocial behaviour. It's not only just the family that's responsible for it, all of us are responsible for it.
Our last speaker is Aisha Dira.
Could you, if you are studying or if you are involved in health, education or profession, get in touch with these young ladies, because you need to network, you need to stay in touch. Yeah? You can help them organize things for our people, organize services and support for our community in London, and you can also learn things from them. So if you are in any health course, please take their numbers. I'm very proud to be sitting next to two Somali councillors. I was in London when we had none. We didn't even aspire to it. Forget about having two young councillors. I don't think we have given you enough time to show us the way. How did you get there? But I'll just say, get involved. Awale wuxuu brief naga siiyey. Awale Colaad waa councillorkii ugu horeeyay ee Soomaaliyeed ee Labour. Wuxuu briefing naga siiyey siduu u galay siyaasadda, sida ay uu had iyo goor ugu heegan ugu yahay inuu caawiyo dadka Soomaaliyeed oo ay haysato mashaakil guryaha ah, mashaakil caafimaadka ah, mashaakil iskuulada ah, had iyo goor inuu u diyaar yahay. Waxa ku xigay Xaashi wuxuu inoo sheegay sida uu siyaasadda u galay, sida aanu u filaynba inuu siyaasad galo, laakiin arrin ku dhacday ay ku dhalisay inay noloshu qaali tahay, noloshuna fursad tahay. Fursadda markaad hesho haddaad ka faa'iidana aad ka guulaysato, haddii ay kula degtana waa kula degaysaa. Labadan gabdhood waxay inoo sheegeen inay sameeyeen organisation caafimaadka ah oo ay isku dayayaan inay sameeyaan xidhiidh ka dhex dhisaan Soomaalida caafimaadka baratay heer kasta ha ahaatee, si ay u samaystaan dallad ay ku kala warqaataan, ay isku caawiyaan, ay waddankeeniina waxay u qaban karayaan waddankiina ka tashadaan. Halkan siday isu caawin lahaayeen ama dadka halkan degan u caawin lahaayeenna ay ka tashadaan. Yani cid allaaliya ciddii caafimaadka ka shaqaysaa welcome bay ku tahay, waa lagu soo dhawaynayaa, waxbaanay ku soo kordhiya. And I think intaasaa la isku yidhi.
Thank you. We'd like to thank all the speakers for coming this evening and for all of you coming as well. We'd also like to thank our parents, all our mums who brought the food. Maghrib prayers are just hit, so we're just going to pray and break our fast, inshallah. Thank you for all coming. And congratulations to Mohammed as well. Thank you.
يا رمضان سلام مرحب شعب المسلمين مرحب منتظري صغار وكبار